sometimes there's a crime that truly can only happen in this exact place and in this exact time. The murder of Bianca Devins is one of those crimes. She spent a lot of her short life online, and unfortunately, her death in 2019 would be played out online as well. Let's get into it. Hi folks, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Delaney and I'm a true crime writer and all-around murder nerd. On this channel, I like to cover some of the worst cases, and I tend to cuss a lot. So if that sounds like a good time to you, then go ahead and subscribe. If not, that's cool, you do you. But now let's get into the case of Bianca Devins. Bianca's friends and family described her as a very shy and quiet girl, but they say that if you got to know her, she was the best kind of friend, always kind and generous to both her friends and strangers alike, which is kind of important to the story. She had struggled with some mental health issues for years before eventually being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But once she started getting the proper treatment in high school, her family says it was like night and day. They said she was doing really well and had plans to go to a local community college after her high school graduation in the spring. Like a lot of the youth, she was extremely online. She had multiple accounts on Instagram, Tumblr, Snapchat, 4chan, and Discord. Bianca would later be described as an influencer in lots of news reports, but that's not exactly right. As a pretty young woman and aspiring model, she had a lot of followers, but she wasn't a celebrity by any means. Her followers also included some orbiters, which is the term used for men who will follow a usually younger woman's social media feed, paying her compliments and sending her gifts in order to try and get in good with her. Some of these orbiters, as you can guess, will get obsessive and escalate their behavior into online harassment, stalking, or worse. Brandon Clark was one of Bianca's orbiters. Not much is known about his background, other than his father, Jason Clark, was a violent domestic abuser. In 2010, when Brandon was 12, his father assaulted his mother, Michelle, because he got it in his head that she'd been cheating on him. When the cops arrived, he held her hostage in a 10-hour standoff with police, using a knife and threatening to cut her throat and kill her. He later copped a plea deal and was sentenced to 2 to 4 years in prison. Now, it's not mentioned if Brandon was present during all of this, but it's a little creepy considering what Brandon would later do. Anyway, there's been a lot of debate about if Brandon was an incel or not. While he never publicly identified as one, he was the moderator of a group called Darkcels Gaming, and Darkcel is, as the name implies, an even darker offshoot of the incel ideology, if that's even possible. If you're not familiar with incels, congratulations, I envy you. Anyway, it's a whole thing, but to boil it down, it's a mostly online community of nihilistic, lonely young men who blame their lack of sex on women and feminism. They spout the worst kind of sexist garbage, and some of these losers get so pissed off at women that they commit violence, even mass violence. For example, see Elliot Rodger. Whatever his beliefs or motivations, Brandon was much more savvy about it than most. He met Bianca online when he was 21 and she was 17. Because Bianca would answer just about anyone who messaged her, even people who would send her degrading and threatening messages. She and Brandon struck up an online friendship. The two met in real life when he came up to her home in Utica, New York to attend her graduation party. There he met her family, and to them he seemed like a very nice, polite guy. And indeed, he was a nice guy, in the manipulative, entitled kind of way. He wanted to be Bianca's boyfriend, and in fact, at first, in the news media reported that he was. But she had just graduated from high school and was looking forward to attending college in the fall. She made it clear to him, repeatedly, that she didn't want to be in a committed relationship with him. But of course, nice guy Brandon didn't want to accept that. Bianca told friends that he would routinely push her boundaries, act possessive of her, and message her, in her words, obsessively. Nevertheless, she continued to be friends with him, likely manipulated by his nice guy act and being too young to recognize the red flags that were waving all over him. On July 13th, the two drove to Queens, New York to catch the Nicole Dollanganger concert. Bianca's mom said this was Bianca's first grown-up concert, and she said she felt more comfortable letting her go because she'd be with her friend Brandon. When they got there, they met up with another online friend of Bianca's. She'd never met the boy in person, but when they did, she was instantly attracted to him. The two flirted with each other throughout the concert, even though Brandon acted like he didn't want the guy there, like he was jealous. When Brandon was gone, Bianca and her new guy shared a kiss. Apparently, Brandon saw this. Despite being told that she didn't want a relationship with him, this made him furious. After the concert, on the drive home, Bianca messaged another friend to tell her that Brandon was being, quote, so mad and, quote, nasty and combative. The next thing anyone heard from her was just after 6 a.m. the next morning. A picture of her blood-splattered body was posted to her Discord account. Her throat had been sliced so deeply, she was nearly decapitated. The caption read, "Sorry fuckers, you're going to have to find somebody else to orbit." Brandon also doxed her, posting her real name and address. The image was then posted to Instagram with the hashtag RIP Bianca, and it went viral. At first, people thought the photo was just a prank or done with special effects. But as more and more of her friends tried to contact her and couldn't, it became clear that this was no prank. So her friends started calling the police. Around the same time, police were getting calls from Brandon's family as well. He had recently posted some strange and disturbing images to social media accounts, including one of him with a woman's bloody arm, captioned, "I'm sorry, Bianca." In another post, he wrote, "I'm ending it today. I'm sorry to all the family and friends who wanted me to achieve. I love you all." Then, at about 7:30 a.m., Brandon called 911 himself. He gave them his location, near where Bianca had gone to high school, and told them he was committing a murder-suicide, and now he needed to, quote, do the suicide part. When first responders arrived, they found him writhing around on a green tarp, covered in blood, with a fire burning nearby. As an officer approached him, he began stabbing his own throat, then took out his phone to take a selfie. After rushing Brandon to the hospital, the police discovered Bianca's body was underneath the tarp he'd been lying on. Going through his cell phone, they found an extremely disturbing video. In the recording, Bianca is apparently asleep in the back of his SUV. He then wakes her up and confronts her about kissing the boy at the concert. Bianca points out that she and Brandon, are just friends, and Brandon hits her. She's shocked and angry. She demands that he drive her home and threatens to get out and walk. Brandon then pulls out a knife and slits her throat. But before the police could notify Bianca's family, online trolls had already sent them the gruesome image of her dead body, along with tons of nasty memes designed to traumatize them. That image of Bianca continued to circulate on Instagram for days, while the company claimed they were doing everything they could to scrub it from the platform. Anyway, Brandon Clark survived his attempt and at first pled not guilty to second-degree murder. Then, probably in light of all the evidence against him, he changed his plea to guilty. But then he tried to withdraw his guilty plea, but the judge wasn't having it. In March of 2021, he was sentenced to 25 years to life. And further shoring up the theory that he was actually an incel, he was considered as some sort of hero on those forums. As for Bianca's family, they still suffer from PTSD from seeing that horrific photo of her. They are now fighting to pass a law that would make social media companies accountable for allowing graphic shit like that on their platforms. If you or someone you care about is in need of mental health care, you can call the National Mental Health Hotline at 866-903-3787. If you or someone you know is in a mental health crisis and needs help immediately, You can call or text the new Suicide and Crisis Lifeline 988. So, what are your thoughts about the Bianca Devins case? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, click the like button and subscribe for more terrible stories like this. Till next time, Darklings. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more. You can help me make more true crime content by supporting me on Patreon, where for as little as a cup of coffee, you can get early access to videos, bonus content, and free Murder Nerd merch. The link is in the description.